Hey everybody, this is Tyson.
And Logan.
And you're listening to Dad Bods Beards podcast. It's a show that gives you a fresh look on being a father, a husband, and honestly, a man being in today's world.
For people who want to have a good time, laugh, and be uplifted, thanks for subscribing and listening. Now for the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dad Bods Beards. We've got a special one for you. We've got one of our friends in studio, John from Heare Brotherhood. John Moore, which funny enough, he's the brother of Tommy Moore, our producer.
Heyo.
And we'll get into this story, introducing John in a minute, but John has a little bit of the claim to fame of where we're at with Dad Bods Beards. So, but before we get into that, we talk about our sponsor, as always, Mountain Ops. I don't think we need to keep beating it to death, all the different products and stuff that we like, but I'm just going to keep pushing this one because it is making a massive difference in my life, is the sleep gummies.
Mm-hmm.
So have you tried those
They
ones
have
yet?
sleep gummies?
They do.
Dude, knocks me out in the best way. Not like NyQuil knocks you out. Not sponsored by NyQuil, but
But
no,
should
like,
be. Hashtag should be.
puts me to sleep, and then I stay asleep, and I don't wake up feeling like I was drugged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's got melatonin, chamomile, like tart cherry extract, and a couple of other little good things sprinkled in. But
The
go
guy
to,
that does the salt.
Salt Bay, yeah.
The one that I really like is Renew right now.
Oh, dude.
It's just 2 tablets or 2 pills that you take a day, and it has like psyllium husk and things like that. But
I don't even know what you just
it's a
said, but I
cleanse.
believe
It's
you.
a
but
cleanse
basically, if you, it doesn't give you like you have to go massively to the restroom.
Yeah.
But what it does is
That was a very polite way to say
yeah.
that.
But what it does is say, hey, now's the time.
Mm.
Let's do this.
We should
Yeah.
call it. They should call it Repoo, not Renew, because it's working.
And then you eat, and then about 10 minutes later, it's like, hey, guess what? It's time again. Life is good.
I want like a little.
How does your?
I want to
bowel
shrink
work?
you, put you on my shoulder, like, hey, buddy, it's time again. You're saying it so kindly.
Yeah. Hey.
But
It's time to go.
so
You know what I
that's-
just ran out? I just ran out this morning. My last scoop of Ignite.
It's good
Tiger's
stuff.
blood. Oof.
That's
That
a
stuff
new
gets
one,
me
yeah,
going.
yeah.
Huckleberry
Huckleberry
Enduro.
lemonade.
Dude, I can't get enough of that one.
So good.
Anyway.
Long story short,
We love Mountain Ops.
We do. I mean, we had an event last night we went to where Trevor, he came and he brought a bunch of goodies to give out. And pretty much the consensus was we've all tried a million different supplements, whether it's the proteins, the creatines, the recoveries or anything like that, all the way down to just like hydration packets from all different companies. All of them taste good. We've all had protein powders. We've all had different things that like kind of like make you
What is it like?
like that.
One more time.
Ugh.
Oh, okay.
Slow motion now.
Long story short, they all taste good. They all are very effective. They're all good for you. So go to mountainops.com. Why are you always laughing at me? Go to mountainops.com.
Because you're funny, maybe? I don't know.
And use code DADBODS at checkout. You'll get 20% off on everything. And again, as always, every purchase on mountainops.com provides meals for those in need. So it's a great cause, great product. Yeah.
Yeah.
So without further ado, John, please introduce yourself to us.
Okay.
Well, we already know who you
What
are.
do you want to know? I hate this question because
Everything.
I don't hate it. I just struggle with it because
He just said he hates you.
no, I didn't. Not you.
Yeah.
It's the question. It's not you. It's me. Okay. Well, I'm John Moore. I live in Heber City.
Oh,
On the
I
other
live
side of the
in
mountain.
freaking Heber?
Yeah.
All the way
Yeah.
up there. I feel bad telling you come down here this early.
No, I'm always on this side of the mountain anyway. So
Okay.
I love
great.
Heber.
it's so beautiful.
It is.
Um,
Heber
so
creeper.
yep.
It's a
Love it.
train,
The
not
train.
a guy that's convicted of something. This is
Just
a
to
podcast
clarify,
that does
if-
not exist only in Utah.
we have a skit coming out called that deals with our ball wash
Oh,
with
yeah.
Copper Johns, and we have 2 golf balls, and we're going to be talking about hey, did you wash your balls? They look dirty, all that kind of stuff, and it's golf balls.
Wow.
And that just reminded me, it's like, hey, I'm Heber.
The Heber,
They called me the Heber
creeper.
Go to the train and do it on the Heber Creeper. That would
the
be.
Heber Creeper is like an old time train that's like kind of iconic for the city of Heber. And it just like dawned on me of like, oh yeah, the Heber Creeper. It sounds like a serial killer.
It does. Or
Anyways, we're like
a
hi-
Ted Bundy, but
Yeah.
of Oh, I was gonna say of Utah, but I guess he's already.
He already was.
Okay,
Utah.
So
Well, we
already
hijacked
have
your
our-
introduction. So
yeah. So in Heber, I've got that's great. My wife Kelly, and then 5 kids.
jeez, buddy.
A daughter, and then 4 boys. Wow, I'm struggling with my math here.
It's okay. You got 5 kids.
Yeah, it's true.
Do you have a 6th one on its way?
No, I don't. Nor will we.
Oh, okay.
We are finished. Dunzo.
I thought we were
I
finished
love-
at 5 too.
Yeah. No, we are. I'm pretty sure. I just stared straight into the camera like Kelly. If you're
like,
watching
Kelly,
this,
stop.
I know we're done. Yeah, so I have a background in creative direction and design, leading creative teams and in just content creation type stuff, which is a really fun world. And then I transitioned into full-time entrepreneurship about 3 years ago, where I started a design firm where we do brand identity strategies and brand identities, as well as murals. So I do hand-painted murals, and someday at the Dad Bods Beards,
We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Dad Bods Beards,
He actually
There's
created
gonna
one
be a mural.
for our bedroom, and it's just me overlooking with just my hands spread
You
out
and
above our
Candace-
bed. So every time I'm not home, Candace can just say, I miss Tyson. She
Yeah.
can go lay in bed, and it's just me doing this to her.
With just the tiniest little.
Was I part of this conversation? I don't. I don't.
Just the tiniest little angel wings. Like they're not like.
Baby wings.
It's just like. No, I love following you.
I
On,
love it.
I love seeing when you paint your murals on Instagram and whatnot. And I've said that when we give the Dad Bods and Beards, like kind of like Copper John's mashup facility, the big dreams that we have one day, that we need a massive John Moore original mural up there.
Mhm.
So
It's gonna be amazing.
He has said that several times.
many times.
He likes to
but
repeat himself.
tell us about Heare Brotherhood.
Yeah, so do the design stuff, and then started something about 2 years ago with a few now good friends and brothers of mine. It's called Heare Brotherhood, spelled Heare. I always have to clarify that. And we are a men's wellness organization.
Yeah.
So we help create spaces for men to both have support and opportunities for growth. That sounded like the robotic, like I've said this a lot of times, answer. But so let me just tell you a little bit about the name, because that always is intriguing to people, why we misspell the name, the word here. So it comes from the idea of being here, Here, and then the word hear, like I'm hearing you. So one of our catchphrases is I'm here to hear. So the idea of I'm here to listen, because a lot of men don't have that in their lives, is those people that are just there to listen without trying to fix their problems, right? And so that's kind of where it stemmed. And it's the celebration of being here, present, alive. So there's that aspect to it as well, of like just staying here. So there's like the suicide prevention type thing, and also celebrating life to the fullest, and doing the things that we need to do to take care of ourselves. To
So
be
very,
here.
very layered, deep meaning, which that I like that a lot. Which that's how you and I actually connected.
Yeah.
Originally was you messaged me on social media. I don't think at the time we'd realized that we both lived nearby. I don't know.
I don't think I knew that you lived in Utah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were just messaging me because I do I do like
Mental.
a lot of mental health stuff on social media, and then you'd message me about kind of being more like affiliated with Heare Brotherhood, and then we kind of similar story. Me and Tyson, we kind of realized like, oh, you live in Utah. Apparently, everybody lives in Utah,
Right.
and we wanted to go to lunch. You were like, oh, let's go to lunch. We met up. I think it was like we tried like 3 or 4 times before we finally met up, and then we sat at Zupa's and cried for about 2 hours.
So good. That was such a good lunch.
Wait, you cried?
Oh yeah, I know. You know what? You keep saying that,
That
but
is
I'm
so
So
shocking.
just so you know, I do talk sometimes. I just don't do these one-liners and then leave.
but
You've met your quota. You can leave now.
I know.
Basically,
I'm
the
gonna
thing
see you
is,
guys.
you keep saying, oh, you cried, but like, let's be honest. I think the most recent episodes, the handful of them, I think you've cried more than I have.
I've
So-
cried once.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Just once.
Okay, I'm gonna call.
Roll the tapes.
Yeah,
Roll the
like-
Nothing's wrong with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
But no, I think it's that's what that we kind of were drawn to you when we started talking, because it was just like kind of that shared. The shared experiences, right?
Yeah.
Of like talking about mental health and mental illness, and just kind of like the men's space. And we've talked about this before, where it's kind of a weird situation to be in this with like the, I don't know, political, social, all these
Current
different
cultural landscape.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, oh, men, like men feeling like we need to be able to, like have more space or speak up. And we said on a couple episodes of like, we feel like men do have a lot of space in this world, but they don't have a lot of healthy space.
Ooh,
Right. And so I
Spot
think
on.
that's why we've been drawn so much to be connected with Heare Brotherhood and Connect and Conquer, and Trevor at Mountain Ops, and Sean with everything that Sean does, and it just, because we've talked about this with Brock, of just when you have a sick dog, the best way to heal a sick dog is put him in a healthy pack. And we're extremely grateful because we feel like we found our pack with all of you guys. And so that's why we wanted to have you on the show, is just kind of, share all of that, share the kind of the beginning stories, how we met Tommy, and then just share about Heare Brotherhood and everything that you guys have done.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I love that, and I love what Brock said, because I just think it's so powerful to be surrounded by people that uplift you, and we're so used to not having that just as the default, because men are just constantly competitive, right? In every scenario, or most scenarios, it's always like, well, who's the alpha, or who, you walk into a room and the guy that's the tallest or the buffest, and you're like, oh, I'm a nothing, or they're the smartest, or the whatever. At least this is what I would do a lot. A lot of guys I know will walk into a room and be like, I'm better than everybody. I'm the guy that walks in and I'm like, who am I? Why am I here? I am nothing compared to all these people, which I've learned is another form of pride, right? Of like,
really,
rather that, you walk into a room and you think that you're better or worse. It's also pride, which has been a huge revelation for me because of my self-deprecating, past self-deprecating nature. And
interesting. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, like so I did a post about this the other day on LinkedIn that has resonated with a lot of people, because I feel so strongly about this. It was the idea of why I like the word brother, why I use that as a term of endearment. Does that count as a term of endearment?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Why I prefer brother to other words, and a big part of it is because it's an equalizer. Some people have an issue with the word buddy, myself included. If guys are like, hey buddy, no,
I was gonna say, I think I use buddy all the time.
No, and I don't. There's nothing wrong with it, but some people do have.
Sure.
Like, hey buddy, like Buddy the Elf, or like little bro,
Or even you could be like, listen, buddy.
Yeah.
Like,
oh sure. Yes.
Like it's demeaning.
Buddy. Yeah. We use a lot of, and again, there's nothing wrong with it. There's sometimes where it's used.
I don't think I've ever used it before.
Okay, and it can sound like condescending in a way sometimes.
Sure.
Which we need to stop being so sensitive, I guess. But I like the word brother because of that reason. It's an equalizer. You walk in, it's like we're on the same level. There's no better, no worse. And sometimes I have to talk myself through that when I'm going into like a podcast interview, or like at the retreat, for example. It's like I like walking into the situation saying I am no better or no worse than anybody here. Yes, we all have different skills, and there's some people that are better singers and better leaders, better whatever, but I am no better or no worse than any other person. And so I have to like talk myself through that sometimes, so that I don't go in thinking, oh, I'm an idiot compared to these guys.
I think we all go through that a little bit, right?
I felt that way the first Connect and Conquer.
Yeah.
I was very secluded to myself, just because I'm like, I see all these guys that are very powerful, very well off in business and financially. Also, like,
they're all ripped.
Dude. I was like the biggest one there, but I'm always the biggest one there.
Yeah.
But
like every single one of them.
but it's just like I'm like, who am I? I felt that.
Yeah.
And Sean, hey, come over this time.
Right.
And he included me, and then all of a sudden you came in, and I felt at ease really, really fast. But I definitely see that, and I definitely I've noticed that in myself. Like, I got to focus on, hey, these guys are amazing, but so am I, and that's hard because we've been taught our whole lives that, hey, don't be cocky, don't be prideful, don't be, and it's like we can be confident in ourselves without being cocky.
Yeah. And
we can love ourselves, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing I think we were taught just growing up, and everything is like, walk it off. I caught myself. This really bugs me that I did this.
Okay.
Emmett came home crying.
Your son.
Yeah, Emmett's my son, 13-year-old, just crying and upset. And I was like, buddy, stop crying. And I just stopped. I'm like, you can cry. It's okay to cry.
Self-correction.
Yeah, but it's just like, dude, what are you crying about? Like, and then when I heard what he was crying about, I'm like, it's the dumbest thing to cry about. But in my mind, I'm like, but it's not. And after I thought about it for a second, I'm like, oh, buddy, I'm so sorry. I was trained a different way and I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But it's just like we were taught that. And we were taught not purposefully to taught like that. It's just the culture. And so we're trying to change the culture, saying, hey, it's okay that you feel this way. It's okay and rightfully so. But now we got to figure out how do we get it so that you feel better about yourself and better about the situation rather than just live in this depression that you're in right now.
Well, and going deeper with that, right? Like, and this is not a slam to your fatherhood because I've done that a handful of times with with my 6-year-old, and that's probably even worse. Like
But
telling
this
my
was
6-year-old
just-
to stop crying.
But this was just Sunday, and I'm just like, I caught
Yeah.
myself immediately as soon as I said it. I'm like, oh, I caught myself.
But I think that's the thing is like we can probably all go back to time periods where we felt like as like young boys where we felt maybe a little bit overly emotional about something, and somebody was telling us to stop. Not like, hey, what's wrong, or hey, what's going on, buddy, or talk to me. It's like, and it may not have been like with ill intent.
Right.
It's just maybe somebody was just overstimulated, or they didn't understand, or they just were emotionally spent, and they just like couldn't handle our emotions at that time. And enough of those over time, as a young boy and a teenager and a young man, all that stuff, you learn that, well, I should probably just keep it to myself.
Yeah.
And then that creates full-blown men with emotional issues that we don't know how to express ourselves. So it's like, that's what I say all the time is I think one of the biggest setbacks with men's mental health is men.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
we get in our own way by like imparting the wrong information and the wrong advice to other men and boys. And I think that like that's one of the big things I feel like kind of like the motto with Dad Bods and Beards is kind of becoming like it starts with you, right? Like you have got to be the one to make the change if you want to start, inflicting more positive change.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so you guys are reminding me of a somewhat recent story that was a really powerful moment for me and my oldest son. And okay, so Bluey,
love Blue.
greatest show ever created.
I've never seen one episode.
Dude,
Are
you
you
are
serious?
insane.
We're gonna cut this short and we're gonna watch an 8-minute episode because that's how short that, or maybe a mini-sode
Yeah.
if we need to.
How long ago did they start coming out?
Oh geez, few
Like
years.
5-6 years, I think.
Yeah, see, my kids
It's
were just
literally
getting out
made
of that
for
stage.
it's a parenting cartoon that kids like. That's what it. 100%
It's just it's
convinced.
wholesome for everyone. Like
Yeah.
it's one of our biggest family bonding moments because everybody enjoys it. So okay, so the big episode, The Sign,
Mhm.
the
Oh,
28-minute one that
Oh,
came
yeah.
out. What was it? This year, last year?
Mhm.
It was funny because we were watching, and it came at a particularly important time for me because there were a lot of themes there that were touchy for me at the moment, right?
Mhm.
As a father, and we were watching the show, and at the very end, when he goes and he rips the sign out, I was like borderline weeping
Yeah.
because it was so emotional, and which sounds ridiculous if you haven't watched Bluey because it's a kid's show, but
It sounds real. No, I'm sure.
but like
it doesn't sound ridiculous.
there's a lot of emotions that happen for me when we watch that show, and
Yeah.
but it was funny. I was on the floor as we were watching it, and my kids were on the couch. My wife was on the couch, and I was trying to hold back my tears for some reason.
Mhm.
Right? Because something in my head was telling me like, don't cry in front of your family, right?
Interesting.
Don't like weep in front of
I
your
felt
family.
that.
So what happened next was even more interesting when my 7-year-old son, I look back and he is shedding a tear. And and it was funny because he was trying to hide it. But then he started crying.
Yeah.
And I started crying, and it was just like this beautiful moment because afterwards when we had when I put him to sleep and I was just talking to him about it, he's like, I don't know why I just felt so embarrassed to cry in front of you guys. And I'm like, well, he didn't learn that from me, hopefully, because I am not shy of crying to cry, but it was so fascinating for him to say things like that, and I was doing the exact same thing. I was trying to shy away from showing my emotions. He was doing the same thing at 7 years old. He's like, it's just so embarrassing to cry in front of other people. I'm like, you know what? I feel you.
Yeah.
It
that's
just was
cool.
this beautiful kind of moment of, because there have been many times where he was crying when he was younger. I'm like, stop crying. There's so much crying. Just stop.
Yeah.
Right? Where I've had to correct myself. But this was a moment where I'm like, one of the rare wins where you think, man, we're all just having a similar experience of
That's really
not
cool.
wanting to show our emotions, even in front of our family,
Yeah.
which is funny. But anyway, it just reminded me of that experience and how good old Bluey.
Freaking
Good old Bluey will do it to
we
me
need to
every
literally
time.
have like Dad Bods and Beards like Bluey watch parties. Like I'm not you could be as close minded as you want, but knowing you and how you've like emotionally progressed since we've done this show, you would lose it.
Emotionally
Bluey
progressed.
talks about like parenting struggles. It talks about like pregnancy, like miscarriage.
talk
It talks
about
about divorce.
everything.
It talks about everything, but like in a very like simplistic way, to where the kids just see this like really fun thing. They learn these good episodes or like these good like lessons, and then the parents are in the back like your heart's like hurting for the episode, and
because they're real. Like the parents,
Yeah.
they're amazing examples of what parents could be, but also they're real. Like the dad is just
he like gets stressed out.
he's so
times.
funny. Yeah, he's just a real. Like if Bandit were real, I mean, I'd want to be his best friend. You know.
One of the biggest compliments I ever got is I had a TikTok video where, did you remember this one where there was a Jeep
Yeah, I
that
do.
had a bumper on the front of it that made the headlights look like it was really angry. And so we're in our minivan making fun of this lifted Jeep, and I've got my 6-year-old and my 8-year-old in the back seat, and I just start doing this funny voice. I'm like, "Oh, look at this angry Jeep," and I'm like, I'm not doing the voice now.
I'm an angry tweet.
I was like, I'm an angry Jeep. And I was like, I'm so frustrated. And my kids are like rolling. Like they cannot breathe. They're like hyperventilating. And it's the funniest video. And it went like quite a few million.
Wow.
And it got shared everywhere, whatever. And the comments were like, it sounds like Bluey and Bingo in the back seat.
Oh,
Cracking up, and then some of the comments were like, "Oh my gosh, it's a real life bandit," and I'm like, "That's the best compliment as a father you could ever
no
get."
better compliment.
This episode's gonna be titled Bluey, but no.
Yes.
On that note, quick plug that has no benefit for us or whatever. As a father, if you have young kids or just kids at all, if you have not seen the movie Wild Robot,
The what?
Wild Robot,
I've been
No,
hearing-
the what?
the movie,
The movie.
if you haven't seen the movie Wild Robot, go watch it with your
See,
kids.
everyone got emotional with that, and I was
I've
just
been
like,
hearing
it's
You have
cute.
no soul.
It was like it was cute, but
You
I'm just
have
like,
no
eh.
No, I lost it in that one too.
I've been hearing good things
It's
about
really, really good. But yeah, I mean that's kind of
I guess I have no soul because I was like,
the only time you cry is when you talk about your family, pretty
That's true.
much, right? So I mean that's a good sign, right? Other than that, you're just dark.
So
on
tell
the
us about your
inside.
family.
yeah.
Let's
On a
break
crooked
you
finger,
open.
I was like,
But so kind of funny story is kind of backtracking. We had that lunch in Zupa's,
Yeah.
right? And so we're sitting there. I don't know why I picked Zupa's.
because Zupas is good.
Why
Zupa's
not?
is good.
Yeah, we were looking at. I
Their
actually.
lobster bisque.
Yeah,
It's so good,
Yeah.
and their paninis. You know,
yeah. Now
I'm not
Shut up.
scared.
Let's
I'm not
do that
scared to
for
admit I
lunch
like
today.
a good panini.
Yeah.
You know.
We're going to Zupas for lunch today.
Down. I'm down. But yeah, so we go there and we have this really good conversation. We talk about your backstory and my backstory, and I feel like we become very quick friends, very close. And then we stayed in contact from that and a bunch of other things. But long story short, started following Heare Brotherhood a lot close.
Closely.
You've been hanging out with me.
closely.
Wait.
I know. Anyways, and then you guys start coming out and your podcast starts kicking off and doing great. You guys were like #1 on Apple for a minute there.
Well,
weren't
not
you?
#1, but in the top 200 for
That's
a hot
but that's
second there. Yeah.
extremely hard to do.
It was awesome.
So,
It was a good
We're in the
Um,
top 1 million.
Sure.
Us
Hey,
too.
we were top.
We haven't stayed in the
we-
top 200
we were
every
top-
time. but
We were
haven't-
number 21 in Iceland for a little bit for self help.
right. So random.
Yeah, all these Vikings like we should listen to these guys.
I like their beards.
They talk about all the things on the inside. But no, I love it though.
Makes me feel warm
I
inside.
feel like if we could ever have like a live show do decently, we need to go to like Iceland. And like,
All 30 of them.
And they're
will-
like,
please go on tour and
and we get there and they're like, why are they so small?
You,
Yeah, me, not you. Yeah.
yeah, true.
But anyway, so I see your podcast at this time. Dad Bods and Beards is still just me and Tyson in the basement, right? And we're doing his webcam, my webcam. Still good content, but it just wasn't what I was hoping. And I see your guys' episode and listening to it. I'm like,
Logan was almost like wanting to quit.
It was getting rough there for a minute.
Yeah.
Because we weren't getting a ton of traction, or like we did, but then we like kind of like
You would get like 21 hits a day.
We like plateaued, and I just was really wanting. We were both really wanting it to take off, and I saw. I'm like, dude, who's doing your podcast? Because I know how pricey this stuff gets. And you talking about the really cool deal you have, and I'm like, oh dang, you're like my brother Tommy, and then here we are.
Yeah.
So I love that I love how small of a world it is. I feel like the more people we meet, the more we realize that those people know a lot of the same people.
Right. Especially here in Utah, I feel like there's a really tight knit community. Not like cliquey, but it's a very tight knit. A lot of people either know each other or know of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, what has networking done for you and for Heare Brotherhood?
Ooh, it's been a game changer for us. When I left my full-time job 3 years ago, and that's where I really relied heavily on the community. It's been a game changer for me, especially on LinkedIn. There's some people that like Paul Shin, Nick Staggy, Levi Lindsay. There's a bunch of people that really kind of took me in and brought me to things that I didn't feel worthy of being at, right? and I was able to just keep making friends and connections that has just led to any good success.
Yeah.
That we have had because of going to all these events. And then what I love about Utah, and I don't know how it is anywhere else, but I've heard it's unique to Utah where it's very accessible. You have a lot of these kind of more successful or well-off people and CEOs and leaders that are at these events, and they're not afraid to go to them because they're not too high and mighty for them. And it's just a nice, you'll find I'm very passionate about the equalizer idea that everybody deserves to have equal opportunities, right? It doesn't matter what your title is, how much money you make, or how many kids you have, or how many, whatever it might be. And so I love that about Utah. And I know not everybody feels that way, but
sure.
But I have had an amazing experience networking here and just going to events. And Paul Shin of Tacos Together. Have you guys met Paul Shin? You guys would love him.
Did you just say tacos?
Yeah, Tacos Together.
Okay, we would love him.
Already sold.
Yeah. So he talks. He's big on mental wellness and mental health, and is not afraid to talk about it online.
Good.
Before it was cool.
Yeah. She's like a mental health hipster.
Yes, that's exactly what he is. And he's just been so good to take me in and to help me in a lot of the meeting people and introducing me to people, and just sharing his journey, which I think is so important.
So you mentioned something that it's probably just a Utah thing, but and some people might not feel it. But I feel like as I've had my depressive state. You definitely have. I'm sure you have. Everyone in there, someone is going to experience depression in some point in their life where they want to be secluded, they want to pull away.
Here is a product of that.
Yeah, and I love it. But I feel like if people are more willing, like I went to New Orleans for Copper John's, and we were releasing bourbon Bayou and Mississippi Mud or Louisiana Mud, all this kind of stuff. And I get there and I see all the guys that are coming with me that flew in to be with part of this bearded community. And next thing you know, I'm talking to everyone. But not everyone in the group. I'm talking to everyone. And we're in the hood. Like, the guy who got us our Airbnb literally put us next to a halfway house. Like, we were in the hood. And I mean, like, we were the only white guys there, all this kind of stuff, which is totally fine. I felt at home. Yeah. Like, literally. Like, I was talking to everyone. And like, there was, like, what you see in movies, like, dude, what are we doing here? We're going to get killed. Like that bad. And it was fun. I would just go walk and talk to like everyone with me.
You're like innocent.
Stop it. You're going. One guy didn't want to leave the house because he felt like we're going to get robbed. And I'm like, dude, come on, listen. And I was just talking to everyone. And I feel like the opportunity to network and to communicate with people is up to that individual. Like, the more connection you have, the more welcoming and loved you feel. But it starts with us. It starts with the person to go and just say hi. And it's a skill set. And it takes guts, and it takes it really does. But I feel like that that's on us. It starts with us again. Like
Yeah.
people are going to try to open their arms with you, but if you're not willing to accept it, there's nothing
You're
we
not
can
going to get
do.
very far. Yeah.
And so I like that you said that, you know, Utah, but I feel like it's everywhere. Like I was
Absolutely.
talking to the most random people and we became best friends.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, yeah, I just got out of jail. I did this, and this. I went,
Amazing.
I mean, it's kind of goes like what we're talking about is like the connection of like, I think if you approach a situation with genuine, authentic, like, you know, desire to have a connection with somebody, even if it's for a brief moment of just like talking to a stranger or whatever, I think that's easier for people to like. One, it probably does two things. One, it either makes people uncomfortable nowadays.
Yeah.
Like genuine, like authenticity, I think makes some people very uncomfortable. Or two, you might find that one person who's like kind of like needing that and not realizing it, and then they like, you know, they kind of connect.
you want to know a fun story about being awkward?
I've got
Always.
plenty of them.
So me and my wife, so we'll be married 22 years tomorrow.
Wow.
And on our like 13th or 14th anniversary, we won a cruise. Like we didn't pay for it, we won it. And so we took it on our anniversary.
It's amazing.
I know, it was really cool.
How do you win that? Sorry. Anyway. keep
Work.
going. Okay.
And so anyway, we go, and I thought Candace is my wife right next to me. And I'm like, Candace, hey, check this out. All this, we're on the boat. We're on the thing, and there's like fish or something. I look, and she's nowhere near me. And I'm talking to some guy, and I'm like, you're not my wife.
And you're like, why are we holding hands?
No. He's like, you're not my wife. And he looks at me like, unless you want to be. And he's just like, but I'm just like, but that's the type of person I am. It's just like, and we started talking and everything after the awkwardness. But it's just like, just be yourself with
You know what?
everyone.
And you saw this last night. You know, one of my favorite things to do, and Chelsea probably just cringes over this, my wife, is I'm a big believer on you can tell a lot about a person on how they treat serving staff at a restaurant or any other type
So
of
true.
situation. And I almost have gone out of my way in the last few years, and it's kind of become part of my personality that I'm like overly over the top with them. And like last night with Buffalo Wild Wings, we went out for your birthday, and I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna get the patty melt. And then the girl, the server was just like, oh, she's like, that's really good. That's probably one of the best ones here. And I was like, oh, is it? And I'm like, now you're engaging back with me. And I said, and then I just was like, well, if it's not, I was like, can I blame you? And my wife was just like, what are you doing? But like, I enjoy because I know that people not, you know, in certain industries, they just get the worst people all day long. So I'm like, want to be like, hey, we've got 16 people here.
Yeah.
9 of them are children, essentially, right? And so I'm like,
Cute little kids.
yeah, and I'm just like, I know this is gonna be a really difficult table, and we're gonna be loud and whatever. So I just was trying to like
Lighten their load a little.
same thing
bit.
of like it just put her in a good mood. It put all, you know, it's like we're all positive in a good mood all the time and stuff. And so I think that's a big catalyst on how people treat server staff, like just wait staff, is how you are as kind of as a person at your core. And so I love those awkward moments because like I will be like the dad joke king, or at least attempt to be, with like that situation. And I think I made 4 or 5 different jokes that just didn't land last night.
Oh, that's what your wife was laughing at.
Yeah.
Because you were doing a joke and me and her look at each other like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
This guy again. Yeah.
But I just at the same time of like I've gotten to the point where I'm kind of like I don't care.
Listen, if one of those 6 jokes lands, it's all worth
Yeah.
it.
What
But,
was it? She was talking about, it was Corey's wife. She was talking about karma or something like that, of like, oh, don't say something because like that's like bad karma coming back or whatever. She's making a joke, or like whatever you say to like come back to you. And I was like, dang it, I really don't want to wake up a foot taller tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
And my wife
and
was just
I,
like,
her and I were
oh
just
my
like,
gosh.
that's the dumbest thing I've ever
Yeah.
If you ever need somebody to laugh at your jokes, I'm
I
with
got
you.
you got me. Yeah.
I love that though, that idea of the awkward and embracing the awkward, because I feel like it again, I'm going to the equalizer thing, but
Yeah.
I feel like it equalizes everybody out, because we always think that people are judging us or
Yeah.
trying to be cool, trying to be whatever, and I think that's just a great opportunity to say, hey, welcome to my weirdness. And if they come in, you're like, you're my people. You are my person. And you can just keep being weird. And it just invites vulnerability and invites you to just be yourself. So I love those awkward moments, and they're always worth it because of that reason. It allows people to be themselves around you.
This guy had the weirdest comment yesterday, and I was
Where?
laughing so at Ash and Ice
What did I do?
with Corey and his nipple.
What? No, it was
No, because Corey is like tatted out on this side, and
Okay.
it looks so good. Like it like fits his personality, it fits his aura, all that kind of stuff. And so the tattoos everywhere except his nipple. He's like, "Why don't they tattoo your nipple?" I'm like, "What?"
of all
I
the
think it's
weird,
a great
of all
question.
the weird. I was legitimately wondering. Like,
You know, I've wondered that before.
yeah, I'm like, it just was like really painful or whatever. He's like, well, no, he starts talking about it. Like, meanwhile, you call me awkward, but we're in the I'm so these
All our
connecting
awkward
you know
moments.
you know how these are like. You obviously you introduced me to them. They're networking events. So we're sitting in the sauna, and I'm talking to one of Trevor's. He works with Trevor. I don't know who he is. He is involved with a bunch of stuff, and he's asking us because we're involved with Mountain Ups now, and so we're talking a little bit about Dad Bods and Beards. Tyson's not there yet, and then Tyson walks up, and I think you had just gotten
My
out of the,
shirt was off.
You had just gotten out of the ice bath or whatever, and he just pushes his big belly against the glass, and he's just sitting there like looking at everybody in the sauna, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's Tyson. He goes, oh yeah, he's like, that makes sense.
That feels just about right.
So, but
I love it.
so like speaking of awkward, one of the big things, kind of like taking maybe a little bit more of like a like serious approach to
Yeah.
the awkward. One of the big things that I have kind of like adopted maybe from you and like Heare Brotherhood and Connect and Conquer and stuff like that. And this is going to sound really weird coming out, especially the people who are listening are not
Say
used
the
to it,
weird thing.
is like a legitimate, real like hug with a friend,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I've always been like deep huggers with my kids,
Yeah.
or like with my wife or whatever. But like meeting you, and it's like if you hug, you're a very good hugger. That sounds very awkward, but it's like you go to these events, and the same thing. I'm like you're interacting with guys that have extremely large portfolios and extremely large bank accounts and things like that.
Right.
And like you would not think these guys are going to come in for like a big old bro hug.
Right.
But like, so what is that like? There's the whole 8-second hug thing, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit on that?
Yeah. Well, so they've done some research. Actually, Tommy,
Mm-hmm.
shout out to Tommy, my brother. He introduced this study to me of I can't remember how many hugs you need a day to be able to thrive, to even survive.
Mm-hmm.
But an 8-second hug, you need 3 8-second hugs or something per day to like thrive.
That's why I suffer so much.
Yeah.
That's right.
Nobody
You need
hugs
more
me.
hugs.
Nobody can reach you for a hug.
And actually so we just got back from a retreat, and people by now know that I'm a hugger.
Mhm.
And so sometimes when I'm hugging somebody, I'm like, I'm not done yet. When they try and pull away, I'm like, I'm not done.
Yeah.
And they're great. Let's
You're
keep
like,
going.
"Give me my hug."
Yeah. And then usually, this is the fascinating thing. Usually they hold on longer, and then I'm like
Yeah.
pulling away, and I'm like, nope, they're not done.
Yeah.
And just saying that and bringing kind of the levity into it allows guys to be like, okay, I can hug. Like I don't have to do like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a nice like,
Yeah.
the 2-tapper,
Yeah.
the 2-tapper hug,
The bro hug.
the bro hug.
Like the clap dab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm a big believer in all of that we all
Yeah.
that we all need that.
Do you ever find it awkward?
Not really. I really
I've
don't.
done it once on accident.
What?
A hug, like this
long-
guy was coming like this, and I thought he was doing this, and he was coming for a clap. So I hug him, and he's a customer back in the day, and he's like, "Well, that's not what I meant."
Did he just?
So then I just embrace
Is
it.
his like
just stay in it for a minute.
No, really, I
His
kind
ar-
of said that.
his arms are at his side? He's just like.
No, he was, and that's why I was like,
Just like the
So-
dead fish, like just
yeah.
That's not a
so I'm
hug.
like, I had to own it,
Yeah.
and so I had to make it even worse.
That's not a hug. That's assault.
yeah. You might have crossed a line there. He's like, I didn't consent to this.
There was a little love tap at the end.
But it's funny. It's funny. I think I saw you post something about that. That's probably where I got that. But I've started doing that like with my kids before bed. Is my daughter is very routine based. She's definitely like oldest child, old daughter syndrome, where she is just like her room is like organized, blankets are tucked in, bed made or whatever, and she has her process. And then meanwhile, like her little brother like just ate a Lego, right? But
Don't call child
she
protection
like
services.
yeah, she's like she's 8 years old, and she like refuses to go to bed unless I put her to bed, like unless I tuck her in, right? So she has her like her process and stuff, like with saying goodnight to mom and like girl time. They have girl time that I'm not allowed to be a part of, like brushing hair, doing all that kind of stuff. And then when it's time to go to bed, I need to tuck her in because, and I'm not gonna beat her process up because I'm like it's a little out of order, sweetie. But like get her in bed, turn on her. She still sleeps with the sound machine and like a little like kind of like a colorful light that goes off at night. And I'll turn all that on and I'll get her in her bed and then tuck her in. And then she wants to get out and come in for like a big hug. And I'm like, why don't we do the hug before? She's like, I don't know. I just want you to tuck me in and then get a hug and then tuck me in again. But what I'm getting to is that like, I like live for those moments. And like, those are what, like when I'm downstairs and I'm busy, like, or I'm in my basement, that's like 2 flights of stairs to go put her to bed. And she's like, Dad, can you tuck me in? And I'm like, ugh. But then I remember like, she will like hold on for like a while. And she like wants these big hugs and stuff. Then I always end up with like tickling her or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, those are things that like when she's like, your kid's age, you're going off to college or whatever. And she's like not wanting me to tuck her in anymore. I'm going to remember like, the long 8-10 second hugs with my little 8-year-old girl. Right.
That's when I do the beached well.
Oh yeah, you just
they don't have any choice.
So I call it the beach well. So they'll be laying down, and I'll just like, oh no, and I'll just fall right on top of them.
See, my kids have loft beds, so like I'd have to get a good running start to get up there, and then I don't know if IKEA is impact rated for 270-pound dad, but no.
I love that. My I have a son who I was pretty frustrated with him. Not that long ago, just it was my, I guess, control issues. Like he's not obeying me, he's not doing all these things, and I was just so frustrated with him. And same thing with our routine with all my kids. And I went in for a hug, and I was like, I felt like there was tension between us, and he took the higher road. And I'm, no tension or anger or whatever is ever going to stop me from hugging and kissing my kids goodnight, right?
Yeah.
But that particular night, like I went in for a hug, and then I was pulling away, and he like pulled me back in, and he just didn't let go for a while. I'm like, oh, Dad, like we just needed to connect, on that level, the level that he's very like, he's touchy feely, and he's a snuggler, and so I'm like, man, it was such a lesson to me, of like he needs that, we all need that. We just grow out of it because we become that and whatever.
Yeah, but like, good for you for recognizing that, right? Because unfortunately,
I don't think we grow out of it.
Yeah, no, we don't.
No, I think
we do. We grow out of thinking that we need it.
Yeah. Until you have it, then you're like, oh, I've been missing this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
like, I need this more than ever.
Yeah.
Every guy's love language is physical touch. Yeah. Right. Like we all don't touch me. Okay.
Group hug.
Hold on. Let me put a big from my wife. No, but my point being though is like, good for you for like recognizing that in your son, because that's kind of one of the things that we talk about with Heare Brotherhood, Dad Bods Beards is almost kind of like, and I'm going to say it, like emotional immaturity that we have as men, that when we do sometimes have those opportunity connect, we'll push it away.
Yeah.
Right. I had a moment with, this is my older brother. There's me and him, and we've got 5 sisters, and he and I are right next to each other. Like, 2 older sisters, him, me, and then 3 younger sisters. And we've had some stuff that have really been trying in the last couple months that, has weighed on him a lot and weighed on me a lot. And he and I had a really good, deep conversation that we haven't had in a long time. Yeah. And he's not like a hugger. I mean, his kids, he's very, with his kids and his family and stuff like that. But he and I kind of went in for a hug, and he kind of pulled away, and I kind of like pulled the little brother. I'm like, well, one I'm like, I'm bigger than him. So I'm like, I kind of pulled him in a little, and it was just a good connection moment. Right. And I think a lot of times, it might've been slightly uncomfortable for him, but I think that when I kind of felt him kind of like relax a little bit into the hug and realizing that like, oh, maybe he needed just like that literal brother connection in that moment, and that it did good for me as well. Those are the things that I think as soon as you kind of get past that, like, oh, it's awkward, or like, I'm going to say it too, like so many guys shy away from like, oh, that's gay. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's human connection. Like it's intended to be helpful. Like I say this all the time. Humans are literally like creatures of connection. Like, oh yeah, we have this emotional sense to like tell when something is wrong, right? You can kind of like get that, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Almost kind of like that radar blip of like something's wrong. And I think that if we acted on that more, if we pursued that more, and we would have just like these deeper connections and these more meaningful conversations and these more just like uplifting moments. And so I love that you're like, you guys are inspiring that with Heare Brotherhood, right? And you guys had an article written about you this year. And you guys have gotten some pretty decent publicity, which I think is awesome.
Who wrote about you?
Deseret News.
Oh, that's way cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did I
That was
miss
a
that?
that was a big day. Oof.
Yeah.
That felt really.
It was
really
there was quite a few comments of like positive, and then there were some of the very insecure ones of like, again, men are sometimes the biggest setback in what we're trying to do, of just pretty much like acting like it's this form of weakness.
Yeah. Which is so fascinating to me, and it's been very eye opening. You know, I grew up in a home that my dad wasn't afraid to hug us and kiss us on the cheek, and a very affectionate home. I've got 3 brothers and then 6 sisters.
Holy cow!
Wait, 6 sisters.
You're like Tommy. Fact
Tommy,
check.
what was it? What's the number? And you know, for the most part, most of us are pretty like it's always hugs and we're not afraid to put our arm around each other. And have the long hugs. And so it's funny because when I went out into the world, that I realized, you know, leaving my home, that wasn't a normal thing.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And so I kind of stepped away from that for a long time until I had a buddy who I wouldn't have considered myself a hugger years and years ago, but culturally, because I didn't feel like it was, I don't know. And this is me thinking back. I wasn't thinking back then like it's not culturally appropriate to hug, you know.
Yeah.
It just was ingrained in what I realized was I don't know if I was safe to do that, right? If I felt confident enough to do that, until I had a buddy who he really needed those hugs and it made me uncomfortable at first to connect that way because he was a long hugger, and I was like, wow, this is I don't really love this.
Sure.
Until I realized how much it filled his cup. And so I have kind of flexed that muscle, I guess, and realized how 95% of the men at either retreats or at events or whatever, like, it's just such a good way to say, like, I accept you, right? It's a good way to just say, hey, we're the same and I'm here with you. And so I will go in for the longer hug because I know how powerful it can be for anybody on the recipient and on the giving end. Like, it's just this mutual give and take of like, hey brother, I accept you. Like, I love you how you are. And that's how I see it. It's this mutual acceptance. And that's, as much as we don't want to admit it, we care more about that than even, especially as married men, we care more about fashion. We care more about things for other men. Getting muscles, yes, it's for our wives, but it's also to a part of a status symbol innately, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think we do care about those things, about how we appear to others, and so having that moment of like, hey, I'm with you, I accept you. I think is so powerful.
Well, I love that you said that because there's a lot of facts to it, but there's also a lot of jokes to it. Of like,
yes.
Like in the beard community, we joke all the time of kind of like guys growing these big beards, and you think like, oh, women are gonna love this, and in reality, it's like, hey, sick beard, bro, right? Right? Or the same thing of kind of like, I'm a big car and truck guy, and it's like, oh, I've got a big lifted, diesel or whatever. Everyone's gonna love it, and like, wife's gonna think this is hot, and it's kind of like, hey, dude, I love your truck. I'm like, thanks, bro. But like the joke
is so true.
But like it's monkey see, monkey do, and so like all these things that like guys, find appealing, or like a beard or truck or like these manly things or whatever. Like why is it so different to like make something else appealing that could be a little bit more healthy, of kind of like male camaraderie, like male, just friendship and just like support? Because this is the thing, is I've said this a few times, we've talked about it a few times with a few other guys. You think about probably the hardest and toughest men. I know there's a lot of women included in this industry too. Like, I think about first responders and military all across the world, like people who are running toward the danger.
Yeah.
Like whether it's fire, whether it's bullets, whether it's, like an attack or whatever. And then you see how those guys view those they fought with. The same thing of like, no, it's like, they're my brothers. Like, they're literally like blood brothers, like, you know, they were in the foxhole with me. And the thing is like the toughest, like physically toughest, and I would even say emotionally, mentally toughest people out there, they have these connections, and nobody really thinks weird about it because they're, oh, like those are the tough guys, right?
Right.
But like everyday average guys like us, like, you know, entrepreneurs, you know, whether you're working a full-time job or you're unemployed or you're stay at home or whatever, there's nothing that says we can't have those connections too. You know, maybe we didn't bleed with this person, but because of the connection that you and I created, you felt comfortable enough and you were in a pivotal moment when we were doing the breath work. And that became very like momentous for me. Like I needed that in that moment. And I think had I like I said, I mean, I was wearing an eye mask, but I'm like, I knew it was you. Like I had this weird feeling of the 3 or 4 guys walking around doing, like, you know, grabbing ankles, putting hands on chest, putting hands on heads. I'm like, I knew this was John because it was the connection. And I think I'd had the same, you know, situation. You were laying on the floor too, so you couldn't have. But my point being in all of this is we need to, and I know you agree with this, I know you would agree with this, is that we need to continue to push and end the stigma behind like weakness is associated with like connecting.
Yeah.
Because I have become so much better of a person since connecting with like-minded people. And then you just like that wave kind of keeps spreading.
And I feel like we have everything so backwards there.
Yeah.
Where vulnerability, I mean, we've seen generations of men that have stuffed their emotions down, that haven't shared those types of things that they're struggling with, or haven't had a brotherhood. And so they turn to addiction, they turn to all types of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, that's the easy route. It's easy to just stuff it down and to not share it. Where it takes courage and masculine strength is to actually admit those things to somebody else. It's not weakness. It's actually way stronger of a man to share what he's going through. And it takes a lot of courage. And it's really, I mean, I struggle with it. I think every man does, admitting when we need help. And I know we've all been through those experiences where we have to humble ourselves and say, you know what, I do need help because I want to be able to show up better for my family. And I think the best way we can do that is through brotherhood.
Yeah.
Through these being able to not escape but retreat for a little bit, so that you can kind of have a bird's eye view of your life and have these guys who you look up to, that we're all sharing in this experience, where it's a safe place where you can have those types of connections, and be able to share it and not feel like the guys are like, oh, this guy's a beta, or you know, he's weak, whatever.
So tell us about the Heare Brotherhood retreats. You've done a few of them now.
Yeah. Oh, we just got back from Zion Wildflower. It's right outside of Zion's National Park. And just a few days ago. And it was so powerful. Because you have people coming in from every level. Some guys show up and they're ready to like spill all, right? Because they've never had those opportunities before. Mm-hmm. Others also maybe haven't had opportunities to share and to open up. And so it takes a while for them to warm up and to get to the place where they're ready to share. And so it's fascinating to see just the spectrum of people, of guys that show up. But a lot of what we do is identifying beliefs in their life that are making them suffer. Because I believe that pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Pain is always going to happen. We're always going to have things that come into our life that are out of our control, but we choose what to do with that pain. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of what we do at the retreats, whether it's breath work, holotropic breath work, we do meditations and mindfulness and journaling. We have prompts. We have guest speakers like Curtis Morley, we had a guy named Doug and Russ Peterson, and they are just brilliant minds, and they come and teach us. And then we have opportunities to connect as well. And we have the breath work and the we call it the Transformation Lab. And that's like a group experience where we are tackling a problem together, whether it's anywhere on the spectrum of like traumatic experiences growing up, or where are you feeling stuck, or where can you feel like you want to be better in your marriage, or as a father, or whatever it may be, or in your career. And so we kind of tackle those one-on-one together in a group setting. And it's so powerful. It's so powerful to watch guys go from living in some ways a lie, or believing the lies, about themselves and about their situation, and seeing them become free from it. It's my favorite thing in life, to help people become free from what they're dealing with, whether it's the lies that they're telling themselves or the chains that are weighing them down in their life.
So as we're winding down and everything,
Yeah.
I do have a question for you, because when we went to Connect and Conquer, when I went, I met you the first time, as I was leaving, there was like a rejuvenation, like hope, all that kind of stuff that I hadn't felt in a long time. And I learned that it's not only just a feeling or an emotion, but it's also a skill set. So what advice do you have for guys and women and everyone who's listening right now? How do you achieve that hope? How do you achieve that skill set when times are tough? Like how would you recommend them in their homes, at their work, and their daily lives to get that hope when they feel like there is none?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm a pretty spiritual guy, so I kind of default to a connection with God, but and I believe that. But I think at the end of the day, it comes down to to three different connections. So you have in order to feel that hope, there's connecting with God or a higher power beyond yourself. Then there's connection with self and getting back to your roots, who you truly are, and then connecting with others. And so I've just learned that connecting in one of those three ways can usually help me to have hope in my life, because usually the problems that exist are because of a lack of connection in one of those areas, either connection with God or a higher power, connection with self, and connection with those around you. And I mean true connections. It's not the counterfeit ones but the true, where we're pouring into each other. So I would say connection with one of those three.
See, and I like the connection with yourself, because I feel like a lot of it, like as I'm learning with Brock, Painter, who's been on this, that a lot of the anxiety and the depression is usually based upon me not living my true self.
So true.
And meaning, like, I made a mistake and I'm living with that mistake, and I keep doing that mistake, and therefore it's creating anxiety, because it's probably not the right decision, because I see what's going to be happening.
So
And
good.
so I like the connection with myself, because that's usually where because I feel like I pray, I read the scriptures, we talk as a family, we do all the stuff that I feel like we need to, plus some. And I also feel like I have a great connection with other people, but it's usually the dumb things that I feel like, this is contrary to what I believe in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm working too much instead of spending time with my family, and I'm feeling the guilt. So therefore, what do I need to do? Spend more time with my family, and I won't feel that guilt.
Yeah.
And so I love that connection part. I think that's really, really wise. So
Well, I think and I love what you said. When I look at the work, the inner work that we talk a lot about, I look at it as a game of subtraction, meaning a lot of people out there, coaches and therapists or whatever, self-help people, they'll talk about adding more, right? Like, you need to learn another skill, you need to add something to your life in order to be better. And what I would argue is it's actually a game of subtraction. It's about stripping back to your core, to that inner child, we call it, which is the part of you that is innate as a child. It's like when you look at a tree, and you cut it, there's all the rings, right? But at the core is the core, and the core will always be there. That sapling will always be there. And if you're not living true to who you really are, it's because you're adding things. You're adding false beliefs. You're adding limiting beliefs. You're adding culture things. And the more we strip away from those and all these identities that we've subscribed to, that's when we get down to our true self. And so all these subscriptions to cultures or to certain things with society, even including as being a man, those things, a lot of times we have to strip them back, and we say, okay, what am I believing that is not true, because it's adding weight to me, and it's literally depressing me in my life because I'm believing those things. And so I think when we get to the core of who we are, we're living authentically, that's when we live in our power.
I think that's a great way to end. And
I love
to...
that. Yeah. So I was going to say, really quick, where can we find you?
Yeah.
Where can we find Heare Brotherhood?
So I'm mostly on LinkedIn and sometimes on Instagram.
Sure.
So I'm on LinkedIn, John Moore. I wish there was an easier way to lead people there, but just John Moore from Heber City. So if you want to search me there, as well.
He is not the Heber Creeper.
I am not the Heber Creeper.
Maybe,
but I've been on the Heber Creeper. I'm also on Instagram, JOHNM00RE.
Yeah.
When you have a common name like John Moore, you have to get creative. So.
And we'll link all your stuff too.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And then Heare Brotherhood, HEARE Brotherhood. That's our Instagram handle, and you can find us on LinkedIn. You can also go to hearebros.com, where you can get some of our merch. You can
Which is good
look at our
stuff.
retreats and events. And
Yeah, John, you really good at that. Like we've already talked about you
You're gonna
helping
be
us with
helping
Papa
us
John's
with
and
some of
Dad
our
Bods
stuff.
Sweet. I love it.
by Black Friday.
Yeah. So
Coming
yeah,
up.
check
Coming
out
soon.
check out John. Check out Heare Brotherhood. Last quick little story and we're wrapping up is I was wearing our Dad Bods and Beards hat that I did spoof off of the Heare Brotherhood hat that you gave us on Halloween, and we were trick or treating with some new friends in the neighborhood. My wife's part of a book club, and the dads were kind of like, "Hey, you guys all need to come out and meet each other." So all these dads are kind of walking around together, and a guy's like, "Oh, hey, it's funny, I like your hat." He's like, "What's it from?" And I said, "Oh, it's my brand, yada, 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 our podcast." And he's like, "What's it about?" Well, men's mental health. And he's like, "Oh, I was a part of Heare Brotherhood for a little while." And I'm like, "Oh,"
That's
I'm like
amazing.
John Moore instead of just the same thing as Small World. And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, an amazing group or whatever." And so if you're here locally in Utah, look into Heare Brotherhood. I mean, or even slightly outside of Utah, because you do guys travel for the retreats. But I guess kind of the challenge that I have for today is step outside your comfort zone. If you feel like something might be kind of awkward, but could lead to a better connection with a friend or just an acquaintance or a family member or a spouse or your child, bury that for a second. If you're going to bury anything, don't bury your emotions. Bury like your pride for a moment and step outside of that comfort zone, and you will be pleasantly surprised. So,
Amen.
thanks for tuning in, guys, and check out John and Heare Brotherhood.
My name is Chief. Thank you so much for listening, guys. It means the world to us. If you have a chance, please give us a 5-star review, as well as write something a little pretty in there so that we know that you know that we know that you care. Anyway, have a great day, guys. I can't do it.
Dude, that was good. I like that. You can't redo it without laughing. That was good.